Hello and welcome to Prep Smart. So today we are going to discuss about the Indian Express of 25th June. So in today's newspaper, some of the important news has come that we will be covering today, and apart from that, some are already we have covered in the previous 3 days newspaper. So I will be asking you go to the channel itself and have a revision of those topics through the MCQs that I have already posted in the channel. Now, quickly starting with today's topic. So the first topic that we are going to discuss today is this one. Okay, so Ministry of Culture, Government of India is celebrating Samvidhan Hatya Divas 2026. Okay, so 25th June this year, it's been 50 years that national emergency was being implicated on our country. Okay, it was 1975 when Dadin government and Dadin Prime Minister, she actually imposed the national emergency on our country based on which particular article of the Constitution, that is Article 352. Okay, we know that there are three types of emergency that we discuss in polity. First is the national emergency that comes under Article 352. Then comes the state emergency, and which comes under Article 356, and then comes the financial emergency that is coming under Article 368. Now, talking about national emergency, there are three instances based on which national emergency can be declared in India. First is any kind of war or aggression, right? And then the second scenario in which national emergency can be declared is, so first is war, second is aggression. Now, before 1978, in our constitution, it was mentioned that if there is any kind of internal disturbance, then it's possible through the way of constitution only to declare a national emergency in our country. Now, after the amendment, through the 44th Amendment of 1978, this third clause, that is the internal disturbance, was replaced with armed rebellion. Okay, armed rebellion. So if only and only there is an armed rebellion inside the country, then only on that particular ground national emergency can be declared. Okay, so from myself, the question to you, the first question that I want to ask to you, what are the other amendments that was mentioned in the 44th Amendment that I want to know, and you will be commenting me in the below of the video. Okay, so first current affairs that we are covering today is that 25th June is known as the Samvidhan Hatya Divas, and which particular ministry is celebrating this? Ministry of Culture. Please remember, this is our Ministry of Culture. Okay, now after this, the next news that we are going to cover this one. Okay, this is also again a very important news that through the Ministry of External Affairs, it has been said that passport is a travel document, not proof of citizenship. So we know recently there are many things are coming in front of citizenship movement. Recently there was SIR was conducted in different states, right? Regarding that, there was upheaval at different parts of the country. Apart from that, there is also CA Act, which is also related to the citizenship. So right now, what Ministry of External Affairs has said, that passport is a travel document, it's not a proof of citizenship. Okay, so even though it is issued only to citizens, it is not a document that establishes citizenship. Earlier this year, during the hearing of the SIR of electoral rolls, the Supreme Court said Aadhaar was not conclusive proof of citizenship. Aadhaar, we know, is just a document of identity. Okay, that you belong to this particular country, and this is your, like in Aadhaar, your domicile is mentioned, right? Similarly, Aadhaar is not proof of your citizenship. Now they have also added that passport is also not a proof of your citizenship. Okay, and AMEA official said Indian countries with visa free entry stand at 27 and increase from 16 in 2019. Now in this particular respect, what is important, there is a particular index which is known as Henley Passport Index. Now this particular index talks about that what is the ranking of any country in terms of the citizens of that particular country enjoys visa free entry or visa on arrival. So the country which has the maximum number of visa free entry or visa on arrival access is on the top. So regarding that, Singapore comes the first position. Okay, however, India ranked 75th. Okay, it's like way behind. So India's rank is only 75th, although we can see there is a progress. In 2019 the number was only 16, but now it has improved. Okay, also there was a celebration of 14th Passport Seva Divas. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar shared a message on X noting that the event marks the anniversary of the Passport Act 1967. Okay, regarding the Passport Act anniversary, what is being celebrated? Passport Seva Divas. Okay, 14th Passport Seva Divas. And which particular ministry does that? External Affairs Minister. Please don't get confused, because nowadays in UPSC they also give this match the column type of questions with ministries, right? In some state PCS also. So you should be knowing that what are the particular ministries are doing what kind of cultural festival celebration or any kind of special day observation, and what are their roles. This we should be knowing. Okay. Now, after this, the next news that we will be moving today is this one. So there is another hydropower project, which is the Kirthai 2 Hydel project. It will be built on which particular river? The Chenab river. Okay, so as we know that there are how many rivers in the Indus river basin? The rivers are Indus, right? And then next comes the Jhelum, then comes the Chenab, and then comes the Ravi, Bias and Satluj. Now total there are 6 rivers including the Indus. Okay, we say Panchnath system. Panchnath is excluding Indus. Including Indus, there are 6 rivers. Now these 6 rivers was a very important part of the Indus Water Treaty, which was then currently is on suspension after the Pahalgam terror attack in 2025. According to the Indus Water Treaty, it was controlled that Indus, Jhelum and Chenab, these 3 rivers were being controlled by the water were being controlled by Pakistan, where the lower 3 rivers, that is the Ravi, Bias and Satluj, these river waters were majorly being controlled by India. Okay, now the Kirthai 2 project site is a natural habitat of Chilgoza pine trees. This is a very static affair that might come in a state exam or some SSC exams, right? Now Kirthai 2 becomes the 3rd hydroelectric project planned on the Chenab to receive approvals from the Environment Ministry since the suspension of the Indus Water Treaty. So after the Indus Water Treaty suspension in 2025, this is the 3rd hydel project that is being approved on the Chenab river on India's side. What is the name of the hydel project? The name is very important. The name of the river is very important. So the name of the project is Kirthai 2 hydel project. Which river? Chenab river. Okay, and in this particular area, what are the animals that are mentioned? Because Environment Ministry is also involved, because there will be a forest clearance approval was needed to build this project. So the project area has presence of Himalayan tahr, Asiatic black bear, Himalayan brown bear and Asiatic ibex. Okay, these kind of animals, basically animals that are present in the mountain area, these are found. Now, after this, the next important news for today that we are going to discuss. Actually, today the number of newses are very less. Okay, so there is in the explain section there is a mention about that India is facing a dry monsoon, right? We already know, we have discussed in our previous classes that this is the year of El Nino, right? This is the year of El Nino, right? And in El Nino year, what happens? In El Nino, the Eastern Pacific, that is the Peruvian coast, that has more hot water accumulated near the ocean surface as compared to the Western Pacific, that is near to Asia and Africa. That is why in this particular year, what will be noticed that the Central American and the South American countries, specifically on the Peruvian coast side, they will be experiencing more rainfall as compared to countries like India or Australia. Right, so that is why it's a dry monsoon. And yesterday only we discussed about that farmers, specifically in Rajasthan, they are opting for a particular crop in this dry monsoon spell. If you remember, please let me know the name of the crop that they are growing before growing the Rabi crops in the upcoming winter season. So as you can see here in this map, it is basically being showed the blue areas where normal to near normal or excess rain has been observed. As you can see, only 23% of India has received normal rain or excess rain. Maximum 77% of country is currently in a rain deficit position. Okay, so this is important. Then next, yesterday only we discussed about the FCRA rule, right? Now government has put certain restrictions. There are some modifications in the FCRA regulation. In that particular FCRA regulation modification, what especially some key areas where the focus has been made. The first notification that is amending this act is saying every FCRA registration to specify both the purpose for which foreign funds can be used and the states or union territories where they are basically going to do the activity. So basically under the new amendment, in the first notification, if any organization, specifically NGOs, they are receiving any kind of foreign contribution, so while receiving it, they have to state the purpose. Government has already given a list, 105 permissible purposes. Among those 105 permissible purposes, the NGO has to choose for which particular purpose they are going to use this foreign contribution, and also where this money, like in which particular state or union territory this money is going to be used. So they have to address that. And the NGOs that are already registered, they have been given a year of time so that they can also file the fresh representation regarding this particular notification. Okay, the second notification that has come, in that it has been said that the second notification revises compounding penalties for violation. So earlier for violation of this particular act, there was certain type of penalties were mentioned. So there is a change in that penalties. So it raises the cost of non-compliance while providing organizations with a structured mechanism to settle violations through a compounding instead of facing full criminal prosecution. So basically it is reducing the criminal prosecution in this particular case. Okay. Now what is another very important thing? Although in this particular amendment, they have given this new framework allows faith-based activities. Like suppose I have a religious organization and that gives education to particular religious minority sector or particular religious sector. So for that, if I am receiving some FCRA, that's allowed. Theological study I am doing, that's allowed. Preservation of religious tradition, all of these things are allowed, because we know the Article 25 of our fundamental right guarantees the right to profess, practice and propagate religion. Okay, so here in fundamental right there are Article 25, right, Article 26, and then there is Article 28. Now, according to Article 25, it has been said that a person has all the liberty, all the right to profess, practice and propagate religion. So, anybody is doing all these religious activities are fully allowed. What is not allowed? Proselytization, which is basically in simple word conversion. So if the money is being used for conversion, that is strictly not allowed, because that does not fall under the ambit of Article 25. Okay, so here they have also discussed about the penalty framework. So these are the things, if these particular criterias are violated, penalty will be there. So spending foreign contribution beyond the 20% cap on administrative expenses. So if suppose I am receiving 100 crore rupees, in that 100 crore rupees I am using 30 crore rupees for some administrative expenses, that will attract penalty. Okay, because it's beyond 20%. Similarly, utilizing it in speculative activities will attract a penalty. Using it for purpose other than those which it was received. Okay, so suppose they have given me the money for any kind of say for example religious education, okay, for the religious education, but instead of using it religious education, I am using it for some other purposes, say for example some other socio cultural uses. Okay, so that will also attract penalty. And then accepting or utilizing foreign contribution for purposes or in states or union territories not covered. So if it is not covered in that particular area, you are doing it, basically you are violating the FCRA norms, so you will attract penalty. Okay, so this was all about this particular news discussion. Next, in the editorial page, again from the last 2 days we are seeing a lot of upheaval is going on about anti-defection. So I will suggest you to read this particular article regarding anti-defection. Okay, and also very specifically to revise your static part regarding anti-defection. Okay, so can you quickly tell me which particular constitutional amendment talks about anti-defection? Okay, so next after this, there are comparatively less news that was there in today's newspaper. Okay, so this is one important news in economy section where RBI has revamped the rules regarding digital fraud. Okay, it widens the framework. So what has RBI done? As per the RBI, a bona fide victim who has lodged a complaint involving gross loss of up to 50,000 on account of fraudulent, fraudulent electronic banking transaction. Okay, electronic banking transaction, also known as EBT. So suppose somebody has done a digital fraud with me and around 50,000 rupees they have taken out of my account. So if now I register a case regarding that particular cyber crime, right, the fraud, to the National Cyber Crime Reporting Portal or National Cyber Crime Helpline. Okay, any of these two. So if I report it within like 5 calendar days from the date of occurrence, suppose today is 25th and because of some digital fraud 50,000 rupees has been lost, or they have taken or they have stolen this money from my account. So by 30th June I have this window to register this cyber crime using the cyber crime reporting portal or National Cyber Crime Helpline. Okay, so in that particular case RBI will be compensating me 85%. Okay, 85% of the net loss amount, or rupees 25,000, whichever is the highest. Okay, whichever is, sorry, not whichever is the highest, whichever is less. So 25,000 is the cap, not more than 25,000. That's the one catch. And second, once during the lifetime. It's not like every 6 months I'm having such kind of digital fraud and I'm going and complaining and I'm having the money. No. Okay, once in a lifetime, because if you face once something like this, you should be getting your lesson, right? So that thing is there. Now, when this thing will be applicable. So new directions will apply in cases of electronic banking transactions. Okay, EBT. Please remember, again I am emphasizing, this will be applicable in cases of electronic banking transactions undertaken by bank customers on or after January 1st, 2027. That is, from next year 1st January, this is going to be applicable. Okay. Now, for complaints on a fraudulent EBT involving a loss of less than 29,000, where a compensation of 85% is paid, 60% will be paid by the RBI, 10% by the customer's bank. Okay, so suppose my bank was SBI, so 65% of the money RBI will give me, 10% of the money will be given by SBI. But in case of a complaint arising from cross-border fraudulent, so now somebody is doing it from Nepal, from Pakistan, from somewhere else outside India, in that case 65% will be borne by the RBI. So for RBI the amount is same, 65%. Remaining 20% by the customer's bank. Okay, so here instead of 10%, 20% will be borne by the customer's bank. So there are more certain details. I have highlighted it here. If you want, you can read that too in detail. Okay, so what is important, that now RBI has revamped the rules regarding the digital fraud. Okay, and what type of particular transaction they are considering? They are considering the electronic banking transactions, or EBT. Okay, so I hope this is clear. And there is also a small news that this year the GST, which was rolled out on 1st July 2017, again these days are important for state exams or SSC, right? So this is covering 9 years. Okay, next year, right, 2027, it will be 10 years. That will be more important, but still it's a 9-year of GST. So that's also a very important news. And what we should know about GST. Okay, so GST is a type of indirect tax system, goods and service tax. Okay, and GST, there is also recently there's a GST council in our country. Okay, can you tell me which particular article is used for GST council? And also there is also a GST tribunal recently launched, GSTAT. Okay, so this is also very important for filing complaints regarding that GST. We can go and apply in the GST tribunal. Okay, so these are the things that is important. And after that, in sports, there is not much important news to be covered today. The last thing I will be covering is 26th June, that is tomorrow, is celebrated as International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. Okay, which particular ministry is observing this particular day? Department of Social Welfare. So today we got 3 different ministries. First one was Department of Culture. Okay, so Department of Culture was observing which particular thing? Can you recall? Just pause the video and try to recall. What is the thing that we discussed? Yeah, so Department of Culture is observing 50 years since the imposition of emergency, Samvidhan Hatya Divas 2026. Okay, so Department of Culture is observing that. Next, we also discussed about that passport is not a proof of citizenship, right? So for that, we also see that what particular ministry is discussing about that. That is Ministry of External Affairs. And now at the end, we saw that there is observance of International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. Now this is being done by Department of Social Welfare. How we can remember this? That see, if our society, the children and the youth, they are abusing drug and there is illicit trafficking, we cannot say that there is any kind of welfare in that society, right? So Department of Social Welfare looks for this. 26th June is the day. This is also known as World Drug Day. Okay, this is also known as the World Drug Day. And there is UNODC, which every year releases the World Drug Report. Okay, this is also like a very static factual information, but can be important for your upcoming exams. Okay, so this is the motto, नशा मुक्त भारत अभियान, विकसित भारत, भारत की पहचान. Okay, so this is the motto of this particular Nasha Mukt Bharat Saptaha, which is observed from 17th June till 26th June. Okay, so yeah, this all for today's current affairs. I hope you are enjoying this video, and if you have any suggestions, any queries, any feedback, please let me know in the comment section. Regarding today's MCQs, please join the channel, that is Prep Smart. The link is there in the description of this video. There you can solve the MCQs towards the end of the day. Okay, thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.